Happy New Year, everybody. Here's a little human experience. In the summer of 1969, Kathy and I got married. It was the 11th wedding that summer. We had grown up in the same neighborhood, went to parochial school, separate high schools. We were making out and heavy petting for years, trying to seal this deal. And we were the 11th wedding that summer, and life was good. Gas was 35 cents a gallon. Our rent was $94 a month. I was making $85 a week as a Catholic school teacher. She was making 10 grand working for Social Security. You could buy a 20-pound bag of groceries for $10. So we decided she was going to go on the pill, and we were going to take a little freewheeling adult experience for 5 years. Weed was $25 an ounce. We went to Dead. Oh yeah, good shit too. And we would go to Grateful Dead concerts, and we would camp, and we would just do, wine had screw tops. It was $2. And we were just with this Viking tribe of crazies like us, and it was fun. We were at the beach, and I convinced her we were going to go to Europe. The book was Europe on $5 a day. We backpacked with nylon underwear and backpacks and flew Icelandic and stayed for a month in the Alps, the Riviera, and Paris for under $600. When we came home, we said, let's have the baby. Well, we were trying hard, and then Reader's Digest explained the position you should take and the time in the cycle, because we didn't have a lot of sex ed in Catholic school. So we practiced that, and next thing you know, we're going to have a baby, and we pick, lead-free cribs, all this stuff. We get the best two OBGYN guys we've heard about. We got the young guy and the old guy, like Marcus Welby, if you're familiar with the show. We got James Brolin, we got Robert Young, and the young guy goes, he doesn't care if it's in Blue Water, Lamaze, so we go forward with this whole thing, and I stay awake in Lamaze class. And we don't know if we want a boy or girl, as long as they're healthy, and all the grandmothers are excited, and her Italian grandmother gets her on the floor at like 6 months and takes my wedding ring and puts it on a string and holds it over her, and if it goes in a circle, it's a girl, and if it goes this way, it's a boy. It went that way, and we had a boy. The day of the delivery, I go to the hospital, and the fetal monitor runs out of tape. Kathy's saying, there's Lamaze. She's like in labor for like 33 hours. They bring us into the room, and Dr. Pitkin is not there, the young guy. Knockout Neiman, his partner, is there, who's never delivered a baby in his life. He's anesthetized women and C-sectioned them all. He's trembling. So like in wrestling, they tap him out, and they bring another guy in, and they have to do forceps. And then they ask this other anesthesiologist, what do you think, doctor? And the guy goes, I don't know, 1,200, 1,500. They throw him out. And my son is sunny side up. He's upside down in the birth canal. He could be brain dead any minute now. And they get in there and turn him around. I'm sweating. I'm watching this whole thing. They told me I could leave. They have a backup group. My son is born. A great day. And I decide I'm not going to be like my father. I'm going to, give this kid a bath in the sink. I'm changing diapers. I'm doing all the formula cooking because she couldn't breastfeed. And on I go. I'm going to teach him how to fly a kite, ride a bike, shoot baskets, all of this stuff, because I'm not going to be like my father. He was a nice guy, but he was a World War II guy. Didn't say too much. Just smoked cigarettes and read the paper. Now, all this time, I had been getting up in education. I was also still drinking and still smoking a lot. And I wasn't cutting that out. I didn't think it was a big problem because life was good, and so was our life. And nothing seemed to be harmful until people started noticing this, particularly people who love me. So my wife, as he's like in middle school, she says, Dennis, you ought to curb some of this now, act like a grown-up. And I fight that and I deny that and I say everything is fine, and I just continue to sneak away and do this stuff. So by the time he's 14, he's our only child, I get served with divorce papers at work, and it had to come to that. And I move out, and he stays with her, and there's a big chasm. And my son, who I love dearly, and my wife, who I've known since, we're 13 years old, are gone. And I'm kind of turning that around to say I'm kind of glad now nobody's nagging me. And I turn into a worse street drug that's out there, and I stop seeing my son even on visitation weekends, and he catches on to this stuff, and he slides a note where I'm living and says, you're really not my father anymore, you scare me. I get tapped by the grace of God and get help, and I go into recovery soon afterwards. And my mother's nagging me all my life, and she also says, when is your son going to straighten out and talk to you again? I said, Mom, you leave him alone. When he talks to you, You talk to him, but don't bring me up. She goes, okay, I can do that. I said, please do, because I figured if he's still talking to her and my mother and my sister, he's interested in his grandparents. He's not just doing that. And I had a spiritual advisor here in Vermont because I had moved here. I couldn't go back to New York for a lot of reasons. He said, listen, just send him a birthday card and a Christmas card. So I do that for 8 years, and I get no response. And he said to me, you just stay clean and sober no matter what happens, and he'll know that you love him. And so he gets engaged. I hear that from my sister, and one day the phone rings here. And I pick, because I was allowed to add my phone number. The phone rings, and I pick it up. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and he says, hi, it's Evan. It's my son. 10 years has gone by since I've seen him. He's 27 years old. And I said, Evan? He goes, yeah. I go, wow. He goes, I don't know what to say. I said, I don't either. I said, how come you called today? He says, Grandma's busting my chops. She keeps talking. When are you going to get back together again? Blah, blah, blah. He's getting married. And I said, oh, God. I said, I told her not to say anything about that. And he goes, I believe you. And my mother's like, I'm not going to the wedding if you're not invited. I go, Mom, I'm not going to show up at his wedding. I'm missing from his life for 10 years. You know, you don't show up that day and steal the whole thing. And I go, who's that guy? Oh, it's your father? Your father. Then who's this guy? Because my wife had remarried. So here it goes later on, and we meet like a few months after that wedding down in Boston where he lives. Turns out my daughter-in-law's father went for cigarettes and never came home. So she prompted my son to say, you know, it seems like your father's reaching out to you all this time. Why don't you get in touch with him? And he was afraid to do that, I think, but he did. And so now it's about 15 years later. I'm still clean. My first wife is kind of cordial to me, but she's not unhappy because I broke her heart seriously. Broke her heart, just like I broke my own. And my son and I don't talk about that past. He's in my life presently. He's got 2 boys who call me grandpa, and we do a lot of things together. So, so if love and joy and forgiveness and frustration and anger and denial and redemption and happiness and sadness are experiences that make us human, I think you can all understand. Thank you. Happy New Year.